free for Sky TV customers. Now, each Sunday at this time, we're going to look at the big stories and the big issues in crime this week. And to guide you through it all with me is Jackie Hames, who served with the Metropolitan Police for 30 years. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sam.
Well, we're going to start with the allegations of a Westminster cover-up of historical child abuse allegations. This week, Home Secretary Theresa May announced a national inquiry into how authorities may have ignored abuse. The Metropolitan Police is looking into the allegations, with more than 20 officers now working on the case. The Forces Commissioner says the unit is facing a whole number of challenges because of the historical nature of the claims, raising the question of whether such investigations are even being staffed properly. The President of the Association of Chief Police Officers, Sir Hugh Orde, has called for historical inquiries teams similar to those seen in Northern Ireland to be introduced to take the pressure off stretched police forces. So, Jackie, tell us more about these teams. How would they work?
Well, currently what happens is that when a new inquiry of this nature is launched, they have to draw on resources from frontline teams, the frontline CID officers and from other specialist teams. And they don't always necessarily have a unique perspective and investigative skills for that particular inquiry needs. So by ring fencing officers and resources, you can build up that expertise, you can build up relationships with charities and partners who can enhance those and that inquiry and that expertise that is so needed in something so specialist as this.
OK, well, joining us now to discuss this is Peter Saunders. He's from the National Association of People Abused in Childhood. Peter, very good morning to you. Well, investigating these historic cases puts a strain on the police, but let's talk about the victims, the people that you deal with. How difficult is it for survivors to come forward? Are you seeing a big increase in calls to your charity?
Yeah, you're quite right. It is the victims more often than not who are the forgotten ingredient in this horrible equation. At NAPAC, we have seen huge numbers of people coming forward, and just this very week, with the revelations, well, they're not new, but they are new in terms of media profile at Westminster. Many survivors are coming forward, not affected directly by the allegations around Whitehall or Westminster, but just abuse generally. I was talking to a woman a few days ago in her late 60s who suffered abuse 50 years ago, and she was saying that every time she opens the newspaper, turns the TV on, there are abuse issues in her face, and it's making life very difficult for her. She said that she welcomes the attention because at long last, society seems to be actually, beginning to grapple with this vile social evil that we have called child abuse. But the resources for survivors, the resources for victims, alleged victims, are very few and far between. And that's what I even went to Rome to meet the Pope last week in order to plead with him for some support, because I've been writing to government ministers and the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister asking for help for survivors. At NAPAC, we get no government funding, not one penny, and yet we're potentially dealing with millions of people. And these allegations and these inquiries, it's absolutely right that they go ahead, but let's remember the victims and the survivors in all this, because they are, as I say, often the forgotten ones, Sam.
Let's talk about those inquiries. We've got two separate ones at the moment. What are you hoping will come out of them?
Well, what I'm hoping and the only thing I am hoping for is the truth that will come out. And I know that is what victims, survivors want, is the truth, pure and simple. In terms of my confidence in that happening, in the appointments of the inquiries and the individuals involved in the establishment links that they have, I imagine that we will end up with a very good, meticulous, organised, presented whitewash, unfortunately, but I really hope and pray that I'm wrong.
Peter, putting the victims going through the criminal justice process, does that give them some sort of resolution, or is it more about acknowledgement that something has actually happened to them?
I think it's a mixture of a number of things, Sam. It's a mixture of a number of things. None of us as survivors of abuse can turn the clock back. There's no question of that. What happened to us happened to us. We can't undo that. We have to live with it and move on. And as I say, that's why NAPAC exists, to help people to move on. But yes, in some way, having perpetrators brought before the courts, convicted where appropriate, does, in a sense, I think, for some survivors, help them to move on a little bit, because it's about society acknowledging something that's terribly, terribly wrong. The taxpayer has spent God knows how many millions of pounds on the Leveson, on the press intrusion so-called inquiry. Is it 30+ million pounds? The intrusion into children's lives when they are abused, believe me, is a million times worse than press intrusion. None of it is good, but let's get our priorities right in this country, and we should have a fully independent inquiry, or probably more than one inquiry. We think an overarching Royal Commission would be appropriate as well, to look at this dreadful, dreadful issue. Our colleagues at the NSPCC tell me, and will tell you, that 1 in 4 children in this country is abused every year. That's an outrageous statistic, and it's something we've got to get to grips with. And I think survivors hold the key, and these whole issues, the inquiries, the exposure, and the reason for our conversation today is because survivors are bravely coming forward and speaking out about what happened to them. And credit, once again, I say this every time, credit to the media for keeping this in the spotlight, because by keeping it in the spotlight, we are hopefully going to be able to protect our children in the future.
OK, Peter, thank you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Jackie, as well as the victims coming forward, hearing their stories, we've now got these inquiries focusing on institutions and how they've dealt with the victims in the past. And the police are going to come under scrutiny, aren't they?
I think everybody is, aren't they? We're going into a society, I think as Peter was saying, where suddenly we are prepared to talk about these issues. You mentioned the word paedophile 20 or 30 years ago. People just didn't want to know, to be quite honest. It was such a subject that is so difficult.
Do you think that was including the police, though, that didn't want to know?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I joined the police service at the end of the 70s, and it was almost a taboo subject. People didn't understand it, they didn't know how to get to grips with it. It was difficult, it was embarrassing. And if you're talking about putting senior politicians, senior police officers, celebrities in the mix, it's a huge subject, and only now perhaps do we have the sort of social resilience to deal with these issues, bring them out into the open and be prepared to air them and move on.
And unfortunately, it seems, or we'll find out more in these inquiries, that the police officers were often taken in by these celebrities as well. Yeah. They courted them, the celebrities.
Yeah, exactly. Paedophiles by very nature are incredibly manipulative. They're not stupid. They know how to get into people's heads, the psychology of drawing them in, of building up trust in people and manipulating them into doing what they want to do and believing what they want to believe. They are almost sociopaths in as much as they believe they are right and it's everybody else that's wrong, and that's very difficult for anyone to deal with if they don't understand what's driving it.
All right, Jackie, thank you. Well, there's more coming up with Jackie next, including an appeal for help tracing missing people. We'll also take a look at the other big crime stories of the week, and with 2 missing teenage girls feared to have fled to Syria, what can be done to stop Britons being recruited by extremist fighters?
If, like me, you enjoy catching up on any news that you've missed, then we have got a great news service that you will love. Sky News is now on Catch Up TV, so you can watch all the latest stories whenever you want. Plus, there are special programs on everything from technology to showbiz. And you can even relive those amazing moments from the past. Easy, and it's free for Sky TV customers. And hopefully, Sky TV presenters.
Sky Movies premiere, brought to you by Viera 4K from Panasonic.
Tim, there's this family secret. The men can travel in time.
I'm Tim.
Mary.
My mother's name.
I look like your mother.
You go into a dark place. Think of the moment you're going to, and you'll find yourself there.
I love your eyes.
Make your life the way you want it to be.
For me, it was always going to be about love. Will you marry me?
About time. See it first now, only with Sky Movies On Demand.
Only way to get first, second, or third Meerkat toy is to get car or home insurance or switch the energy, so compare the market.com. Not take them from Papa Alexander. Okay, no, here, look, simples.
This is Now TV.
the TV service with no contract that lets you enjoy over 800 movies with a 30-day free trial. Watch the latest movies you missed at the cinema and enjoy your favourites again and again. This summer, end those fun-filled family days out with a collection of fantastic Disney movies. Watch on your telly with the Now TV box or on other devices. So for loads of amazing movies with no contract and a 30-day free trial, go to nowtv.com/offer.
Would you like to dramatically improve your hearing? Hidden Hearing has 5,000 hearing aids to give away free. So call free on 0800 037 2929 and apply for one now. For over 30 years, Hidden Hearing's helped people improve their hearing, but there are over 3 million of you out there who are still hard of hearing and doing nothing about it. So Hidden Hearing wants to give you a hearing aid free, so you can hear how it can help you enjoy better hearing. Call free on 0800 037 2929 now. Do you need the volume on your television turned up? Do you strain to hear what family and friends are saying to you? If I can't see to read, I wear my glasses. If you can't hear well, you should try a Hidden Hearing aid. It could change your life. So call free now on 0800 037 2929 for details of how to apply for a free sample hearing aid. And remember, better hearing from Hidden Hearing.
Kick off your entertainment with a Sky TV bundle. Enjoy top UK and US shows from Sky Atlantic with the original bundle. Add box sets, kids shows and documentaries with the family bundle, and 7 Sky Sports channels with the sports bundle, including Sky Sports 5, your new home of European football. Sky TV bundles start from £21.50 a month. And when you choose the sports bundle, you can now get our best ever broadband offer. Discover more. Search Sky Bundles or call 08442 410 041. Sky. Believe in better.
Welcome back. We're continuing to look at the big stories and the big issues in crime this week with former Met detective Jackie Hames. Well, counter-terrorism officers said twin sisters believed to have fled from their home in Manchester to Syria posed a threat to themselves and potentially their communities. 16-year-olds Salma and Zara Halain are thought to have left their home in the middle of the night a couple of weeks ago. They may have joined their brother, who's believed to be fighting with the extremist militant group ISIS. The Metropolitan Police received the first water cannon bought for use on the streets of the British mainland. While water cannon have been used to tackle disorder in Northern Ireland for many years, Home Secretary Theresa May would need to give permission for them to be used in other parts of the UK. But that didn't stop London Mayor Boris Johnson buying the 3 second-hand vehicles from German police. And the luxury Dorchester Hotel in London was hit for the second time in a month by thieves. Display cabinets were raided in Thursday's robbery, while watches and jewellery were stolen in June in what police called a well-planned heist. 2 men have been charged over the latest robbery. So those are some of the issues of the week. Jackie, let's talk about Syria and what police here can do to stop Britons travelling abroad.
It's a huge problem, obviously, for British policing, not only on an international scale with the security services and with politicians, but also on a really local scale. And historically, they haven't necessarily been that good at forming partnerships and getting integrated into the communities where these children are being brainwashed and radicalised. And that's the key area for the British police and the key challenge, not only to identify children who are at risk from being radicalised in this way, but find out who's doing it. These are naturally insular communities, and it's not been easy for police to get in there and to build up intelligence and build up support and collaboration with these communities, but they have to do it, and it's clearly very, very sensitive. So Peter Fahy, the ACPO lead on terrorism, has been talking this week and about how seriously they're taking it. But it's a huge problem for the whole of the UK policing, and they are clearly pulling out all the stops to get a grip of it.
OK, let's talk about water cannon now. We know that Boris Johnson's bought 3 of them, second-hand ones at that. Should they be used to tackle disorder on British streets? How would police feel about using them? Because there's a lot of controversy about just how unwieldy they are, how effective they would be in a scenario where people are going out on the streets, because they take a long time to kind of get out and be put to use.
Yeah, I mean, these are quite good on static crowd control situations, but when we have groups moving around, it is, you know, as you say, they're unwieldy. They're not going to shift them very easily. They sort of started talking about this in 2011 when we had the riots then, and Boris Johnson came up. That was an option then. The police service tended not to support them then, but they do seem to be coming around a bit now. And
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the nature of that sort of protest, is that they had groups moving very quickly around the streets. They introduced kettling